These ones... Okay, guys, welcome. Come in and take your seats. We will get going very shortly. I wonder how your workshops are going. Is everybody feeling that they're going to win? Anyone brave enough to claim it yet? Oh, silence. You're going to have to get braver than that when you come and pitch your stories and pitch your ideas. Just a point on that, just while we've got everyone here, it's maybe worth saying. I think I had a walk around quite a few of the workshops. I was in one of them myself predominantly, but some of the other ones. And it's hard, right? It's hard coming up with these kind of ideas and to see what we're going to try and do. I suppose just a piece of advice to everybody that's participating is to try and remember what you're trying to do. You're trying to get people to stop scrolling on their phones and look at your campaign. Predominantly, that's the first thing that you're trying to do. And secondly, you're trying to take your... If you were there, I don't know how many of you were there on the... What day was it? Tuesday morning sessions? I can't remember what day that was now. On the Tuesday morning sessions, we had some really amazing speakers that were talking about storytelling and taking people from A to B. So when you're finalizing your campaigns, I think it's a really, really good idea to think about those things and to try and be really concise, focus on a particular issue, and remember that you're going to have to try and put it out there as that campaign. I think it was so interesting watching the discussions and seeing what everybody was looking into and the topics that came up. We are going to get going shortly when the chairman arrives, but just the way that this is going to work this afternoon, you've got an hour with Manfred Weber. He's going to come in a bit, and he is going to give a short speech, and then he is going to take some questions as well. Might be worth, if you want to win, who wants to win then? Come on, you want to win! You want your campaign to win. You guys have got to start backing your campaigns a little bit more. In order to do that, maybe, especially because they're going to have to sort of play into the group's social media itself, hopefully, that's going to help you win. You're going to have someone that's going to be able to answer what plays well. So maybe you can ask him about the topics that you've been discussing in your workshops. There's a good person to ask, so if you want those questions as well to be asked, you can do that. A reminder of how the microphones work. I know we've done it before, but I will try and take as many questions as I possibly can. If somebody's just do me a favor, please, this is for me. If somebody has asked a question that's really similar to yours, please put your hand down. And if I've already sort of acknowledged you, as I try to do, please indicate maybe that you no longer want to ask the questions, because we want to cover as many different subject areas as we possibly can. I don't know, it doesn't look like the chairman is here quite yet, so talk amongst yourselves for a minute, and when he arrives, we'll get going. Perfect. Was that for me? Oh, guys. Have you got a mic? Hello? Okay, guys. Yeah, we can see. The chairman's arriving. So, welcome to Manfred Weber. I will hand you the microphone immediately. All yours.
Well, this welcome gives me the feedback that you're not exhausted already, so that's great. So thanks so much for the warm welcome, and again, thank you so much for your presence. And I understood that you had already a lot of good talks now in the working shop format to talk in smaller groups about some of the issues. I don't want to be too long in my introduction. My idea was simply to use the next hour for a good exchange of views. And if I may also raise one expectation from my side, I would love it not only to get questions, but also to get some feedback from you. What do you expect? What is in your mind? What is your priority? What do you want to see that what will happen? And probably we can also do things from a content point of view, but also from a political point of view, because, 9 months, then European elections will take place. Not a lot of time in front of us to prepare it. And the challenges are obvious, you see. When I see the polls for the European elections, then we are expecting an increase for all parties who are to the right of the EPP. That is ECR, that is the ID group here in the European Parliament. So to translate it, it's PiS in Poland, it's AfD in Germany, it's Le Pen in France. So give me a feedback, how do you see it in your generation? So how many people are looking on this idea of becoming again a little bit more nationalistic, if I may say so, or don't believe in this European idea? How is this with your friends? How is this in your community? And on the other hand, we have from a young generation's point of view, the clear demand, please do something on climate change and on the renovation, innovation things which we have to do. As EPP, we are committed to deliver with Ursula von der Leyen in the lead there, but it must always be balanced. So do we reach the expectations from young generation in these fields? Or is EPP seen then in a way as a quiet old-fashioned party who is not really up to the task in a way? So there are only two considerations for the upcoming elections in front of us, which I want to put on the table from a party political point of view, how to convince, how to win elections with our member parties. So again, great to be here. For me, it's a totally new experience to be here in this place. So you're sitting on my chair here. This is my chair. This is the whole EPP group behind me. So there are the conservative and the, yes, you. That is the conservative part, and that is the ID part. So that is the right extremists in a way, and this is the part of the Commission, the European Commission. So Ursula von der Leyen sits here when there is a plenary sitting, and this is liberals. This is Greens. This is socialists. Sorry. And here we have even communists sitting. So sorry for this. Sorry for this, but that's the reality. And here on this side, it's a part of the Council. So here the members of the European Council are sitting. When there is a meeting with Council members, here the Prime Minister sits. So that's in a way the Council perspective. So just to give you an idea, normally this is not my normal seat. I'm here placed to chair the EPP Group. So that's from my point of view. Who wants to make the start? You are managing.
Yeah. Do you want to stay down here, or do you want to take the place up? Stay down here. Wonderful. So we'll start taking the questions. We'll take them in threes like we did before. Let's start with you, sir, at 33. Let's take you on 109, and you, sir, on 118. I'll get one for you.
Okay, so hello, I'm Alexander from Poland, and I wanted to say that, the way that the EPP is perceived in Poland is that it's not perceived at all, and I think that it's also an issue of European parties in general, because at least when it comes to Poland, European elections aren't really about Europe. They're a repeat of our parliamentary elections, and European issues aren't really on people's minds. I think that's also a big problem, where people don't really vote for European issues in European elections. They are mostly focused on, the usual stuff that they focus on when it comes to national politics. And I think that when we're talking about campaigning for the European Parliament, then at least in countries like Poland, you kind of have to show people that the European perspective is also important, and that there is a big difference between the European parties, and that it's not only...
Let's try the questions as short as we can. So I think I said 109, yeah.
Hi, I come from Slovenia. My name is Anna. I'm wondering how to prevent the fight of some NGOs that cover hate speech, and they try to brand anything that's center or center-right as something hateful, even though it isn't. It's just normal representation of what we stand for. Thank you.
Yeah, clap if you want. 118. Sir, introduce yourself, please, as well.
Hi, how you doing? It's Brandon from Ireland. The BRICS alliance is gaining a lot of momentum. What impact do you see them having on the EU and Europe, and the challenges that they bring? How do you think we are prepared to tackle them? Thank you.
Please.
Thanks so much for the first round. Well, the first two questions were mainly linked to party politics, how it is seen. Is there a European party political landscape existing, yes or no? And like all other issues on European level, it is work in progress. It is not yet there. I want to underline this. I have the honor to be now a member of the European Parliament since 20 years, and in these 2 decades we had a big boost towards European democracy and towards European parties as well. That is already going on, but it's not yet finalized. I would love to see in the next European elections that on the voting paper there is not only CSU in my party in Bavaria on the list, but also CSU/EPP, European People's Party. I would love to see this, that in all member states we do so. Legally it is possible. Legally it's not a problem. But it's a question of political will to do this, to signal this. I currently try to convince our leaders, so Donald Tusk and Karl Nehammer in Austria, Kyriakos Mitsotakis in Greece. I try to convince our leaders currently that probably we have, with our electoral manifesto, the first time, not only 27 national programs, as we do normally, Platforma or our second party in Poland are doing so, that we have in the next European elections next year, national manifestos where the introductory chapter is the same in Spain, in Poland, in Estonia, to give people an idea that we have a common idea for the future of Europe. We, as a party on European level, have a common identity. And then you enter into national politics, because in Poland you have, towards Europe, look to climate change, for example, with coal industry, different challenges than Spain probably or Ireland has. So that's why to do next steps towards a European party. I did the first time as new elected party president in the EPP, a retreat of all our leaders. So imagine that people like Donald Tusk or Friedrich Merz in Germany, or Alberto Nuno Fejo in Spain, that the top leaders, in every country, the number one person comes together, sits together in a small room, and we are really discussing about EPP politics. I have to tell you that was not happening before. I do this now. And there are steps towards establishing a European party thinking. And your presence also is also part of this process to establish such a common thinking. Probably I can say that sharing this with you, that was always a fascinating thing on Europe for me as a young person in former times and as a politician today, because you never get on European level the message, oh, we have always done so that's why we cannot change. No, in Europe everything is in a way, in positive terms, but also in negative terms, possible. It depends on us how we create a lively European party. Again, I confirm that it is not yet the case, but the process must go on. And the second is about the NGOs and about this spinning. We have here, to be very clear, also on Brussels level, a lot of problems with the spinning of NGOs because they are mainly left-orientated NGOs being present here. Also on content. And let me say we have Greenpeace here, that's good, but for us, the farmers' associations of Europe have the same right to present their ideas. That's part of a lively discussion in a society that everybody shows up. And that is not always the case. You have some NGOs who are the loved ones by the media and by the public opinion, and those who are only interesting sectorial, egoistic interests. And we have to do what we believe in. We have to go our way, even if the public opinion or some NGOs are doing the opposite. It is very crucial on the question of rule of law, because we had in Slovenia some debates about the rule of law, we have it in Poland, we have in Hungary some debates about rule of law, and in these aspects we should not depend on the majority opinion of NGOs or the public opinion in the worst case. We should be clear that rule of law is fact-based and based on a judgment from an independent court. That is what we believe in when we speak about rule of law. And that is not always easy, because in the Slovenian case, sometimes we were questioning as EPP, why is the European Commission not taking some of the points from the current structure there into question? So that was one of the issues on the table. So there we think that finally the European Court of Justice must decide about these things. And the final point about BRICS, well, the global power is shifting, is fundamentally changing. We are losing every day strength, and China and others are winning every day the same portion of strength. That's a reality. On the other hand, I tell you that still the European Union as a market is the biggest single market in the world. So yes, we are under pressure. Yes, we have to be technologically creative to have the products for tomorrow, but still we are the market where everybody wants to sell products, Chinese and everybody. When I was in Tunisia last week, 80% of the Tunisians' export goes to the European Union. And that's why we have a strong leverage when we talk about them. I don't think that BRICS finally will find a common understanding, because they are on their value base and also on their interests too diverse. So that's why, yes, they try to form an alliance against the G7, but finally I think they will not bring the power to the ground to really deliver.
Wonderful. We're going to go to 53-32-8. I will try and get to everyone as soon as I can. Number 53. Please, can I ask everybody to keep the questions short. Once we've got the thrust of it, the chairman will know how to answer.
Thank you. Jean-Louis Han from Belgium. I wanted to ask a question. I saw that during the last months and years, the EPP did have a great emphasis on Christian values in its communication, which is also quite interesting in terms of political offer. What would you answer to persons that would say that maybe those values are not relevant in a secularized society?
Thank you very much. 32.
Hi, my name is Martyna, I'm from Poland, and if I may give a little background from the city where I come from, lately wooden church burned down because of the solar power system, which was installed poorly because of cutting costs. So regarding EPBD, which I learned about today, the EPC system, which is like the grading certifications for buildings, for the energy loss ability, for example, by renovating them. I think there's a great danger because of possibility of cutting costs, just to get a C, just to get over it, because UE made us do it, and I was wondering what do you think about it and how to deal with that, so it can be done great and without any danger, like I said. Thank you.
Number 8.
Thank you. I'm Victoria. I'm from Germany, and I wanted to ask about the future of the foreign policy of the European Union. In 1992, the Maastricht Accords were signed. In Title 5, Article J1, it states that it wants to further the cooperation in foreign policy, to preserve peace and to strengthen their commitment. Looking at now, it feels like we're cooperating less than ever before. Hungary and also Poland are blocking the common goals of the EU foreign policy, and the rising conflict between America and China, the coups in Africa and the Russian and Ukrainian war are forcing us, not just giving us an opportunity, just forcing us to do something. So what, for your personal opinion, would need to change so we can have a better approach to united foreign policy? Thank you.
A lot of complex questions, I have to say. Thank you for the questions, but very complex. Let me start with the Christian. I myself, just for me, I define myself as a Christian Democrat, not as a conservative, not as a center-right politician. I myself see me as a Christian Democrat, because that is laying the base for what I believe in, what drives me, why I'm doing politics, how I look to a society, how a society should look like. The question is always, is this Christian-based perspective, human being, human dignity, is this still resonating? Is it still attractive? Well, the first question is, we should never consider our basic values as a consideration of tactics. It must always be whether we believe in this or not. And if people don't vote for it, okay, then I do not politics, then others should do it. That's my democracy. But more broadly speaking, there are questions where the orientation on Christian-based values are crucial, and it's about the defending of life. That is one of the basic things at the end of our life, but also at the beginning. Then our basic principles are concerned, and then politics is becoming very crucial, because then you decide about death and life. That's why these are guiding principles where I would fight for. And to translate it probably a little bit more easier is when I consider, we have established in all our member states in the European Union that Christmas is a holiday. We have in my home country, in Bavaria, currently a campaign where the liberals in Bavaria are asking the voters, is it still necessary to have Christian-based holidays, about Easter and so on. So that is a debate going on there, and I tell you that I think that also those who don't have any connection with Christian-based considerations, or are not anymore active in Christian communities, and that is meanwhile the majority, are still believe that a structure of the year in Europe, that we have Christmas, where everybody is at home, that we go to our families, whether you're Christian or not, is good for our societies. So what I wanted to say is, on the one side, the Christian thing is, the Christian values are the guiding principles. I don't do this as tactical questions. But the second thing is, I think we still have good arguments to argue in favor of a Christian-based future of this continent. And that's also clear. Religious things are personal things. I decide about my perspectives there. There we fought for freedom of religion, so that's basic. The second thing about climate, you mentioned ETS as a basic principle for doing so. That was one of the main battles at the beginning of the debate on climate change, at the beginning of this mandate, whether we do it market-based, give CO2 a price, and then you reduce CO2 on the place where it is the most efficient way to reduce it, when you have a price, or you do it market-driven to regulate every technology, every combustion engine, whatever. So we did it the market-based approach, and that is, I think, a good approach. But again, the whole climate change will fundamentally change our societies, especially countries like Poland have a big transformation in front of them, but we must see it as a chance. If we practice solidarity, if we help each other, then we must see it as a chance. And the big question of foreign policy, well, it's linked also to BRICS and to the question whether we can defend our interests. You know, for me, it's crystal clear. If we are not united, we don't play a role in the world outside. Huh? Until now, the European Union has not found a common understanding how to answer China. We had hard times in Germany with the current coalition to find a common understanding in Berlin, whether we still want to sell our Volkswagen or whether we want to fight for democracy and basic principles. So, but until now, imagine for a second, this continent has no joint approach how to answer the Chinese challenge. It's unbelievable. But that's based on the rules we have, unanimous vote. And for me, it's crystal clear that we have to stop unanimous vote. We have to come to majority-making decision process on the foreign affairs issues. Otherwise, this continent will be silent. We are blocking ourselves. We have no influence on the global developments. And I know that the obvious next question is, you only can get rid of the unanimous vote with a unanimous vote. That is a challenge. And to answer this, I'm convinced if we cannot agree on this principle to make Europe a strong voice in the world, then those countries who have the will to do so must go ahead, must go forward. They must lead. We did it also in other fields, euro. Not all EU countries have already the euro. We did it with Schengen. Sorry to say, but still until now, not all members are Schengen members of the EU. I fight for this, for the Romanians and Bulgarians. So why not doing this on foreign affairs? Why not those countries, I would say around 24, 25, 20, 24, 25 countries are ready to go further steps. Only a few are blocking currently the idea of majority-making decision process. So if a majority is in favor of this, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go the next step. Let's find technical solutions for this. And then Viktor Orban, I have to say, must for himself, for Hungary, consider whether he wants to stay alone or whether he joins then this big bloc. I don't want to wait anymore for the slowest one. That is my message.
This was a huge discussion, the qualified majority voting issue in the foreign policy workshop that I did, and I think they'll be very interested to hear what you have to say there. We're going to go to number 287 first, then we're going to go to number 759, and then number 39. I'm taking the numbers down and we'll keep going, but 287, please, you first.
Hi, my name is Sabrina. I'm from France. I'd like to know, you mentioned commercial links with Tunisia. I'd like to know what we're doing to reevaluate our relationships with external countries in the light of the crimes that were committed against black migrants recently. I believe that it is crucial that we take a look at the state of human rights in the countries that we're collaborating with. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was 759, right up at the back. Yeah, 759. That's you, right? Yeah. Oh, this is the bit. Oh, hello. Important question.
Good afternoon. My name is Kateřina, and this is Theodor. We are from Czech Republic. He's only 4 months young. I'd like to now speak for myself, but also for my son. We speak about women emancipation, LGBTQ plus emancipation, and so on. But what about children and youth emancipation? In which EU countries can the citizens younger than 18 years vote? Am I wrong if I say in only 4? But children and youth younger than 15 count for more than 16% of all Europeans. With youth between 15 to 18, it's more than 4% of European citizens. So around 1/5 of EU citizens can't vote and are not represented politically in their countries and in this institution. Why don't they have fair representation in our democratic institutions? Aren't we smart enough? Do we have visions, opinions, dreams, and also imagination of the future we want to live in 20 years? Are we less smart than the elderly population of the EU? But it is our future which is being decided about now. Is that fair? I believe we should change it and empower younger than 18 to vote and to be represented in democratic institutions. Give them the right to be represented in national and European institutions. And I speak for all children, including my 4-month young baby, who is also European citizens. Another concern is education and job opportunities for young women and men in Europe's economy. When we talk about the future of Europe's economy, where is the place for young people there?
Thank you. I think we've definitely got the gist of your question. What a lovely moment to have Theodore here. What an adorable baby. We're going to move to number 39. There's a tough act to follow.
Hello, I'm Christos, I'm from Greece, and I would like to ask about security, and especially a lot of discussion has been raised about the European army. So I would like to know if it's realistic to speak about both staying in NATO and raising an army, and how could we afford that economically with, I guess, double taxes and more funding. But also there would be more complicated in some countries such as Greece, that we have our Greece and Turkish issues, and right now we're both in NATO, but if we have a European army we won't be. So what would be where European Union would stand for? Thank you.
Chairman, that's 3 questions for you.
First point, human rights. Whenever we are there, like I myself last week in Tunisia, we speak about the issues. It's driving for us, it's crucial for us. But I would say if we are not ready to talk with those who are our neighbors and we cannot choose them, I cannot decide about the leadership in Tunisia. I have to work with those who are there, even having the problems there in mind about the democratic development. But if we don't talk with them, then things will not improve, for sure. That's why show up, show also to the neighbors in the north of Africa especially, respect, I have to say so, because sometimes we only Europeans arrive there to give them lectures, to tell them what to do. First of all, show respect, but then talk also as friends, as colleagues, as those who want to improve things on the substance, also on human rights. That would be my approach in this relationship. Next to this, we need a new approach on neighborhood policy, especially the north of Africa, is so important for us. And there is so much frustration going on in this region because we as Europeans only care about the region when we talk about migration numbers. The rest is unimportant for us, and that's wrong. That's wrong. So that's the first point. The second point is about children, families. So welcome here, the youngest participant to the debate. And first, I would say that yes, to care about young generation is even without voting right now for babies and so on. But to care about them is absolutely part of an EPP approach and of future-oriented politics. When we speak about climate change, it is obviously to prepare the ground that next generations can live on this continent. That's, I think, absolutely clear. So the baby is not satisfied, I have to say. So, okay. But that is part, and the rest, the question of voting system, I know from my experience in Germany, it's based on national legislation, there was always a debate whether we should have family voting rights, so that the father, mother can have the right to vote from the children until he's not ready to decide for herself or for himself. This kind of discussion is going on to make families more powerful in a democratic process. I don't know exactly, but again, to care about this is for us EPP absolutely fundamental. Well, and army, Had you already discussions about army? Yes? Okay. Well, we spoke about foreign affairs, and I tell you the second pillar for the next step of deepening the European Union is the defense question, is army. 80% of the military firepower of the NATO, 80%, is outside of the European Union. That is US, that is Great Britain, strong army, that is Turkey, strong army. And the rest, 20%, is in the hand of us Europeans. We are weak. We are extremely weak because we didn't care in the past about defense. And then, dear friends, I have developments like, you know, in Germany we are discussing now to have a missile defense system for Germany. We are buying now technological system from the Israelis with a blessing from the Americans because all the technological developments are in the hand of the Americans finally. So we buy this, a lot of money, billions of euros. And I ask myself, in Kaliningrad, we have missiles from the Russians who can reach Warsaw, Berlin, Copenhagen, Stockholm, Helsinki in a few minutes. And we are discussing still national defense system on missiles defense. What a waste of money. What a waste of money. Why not doing a European missile defense system for the European Union? Why not doing so? You're asking this from a Spanish point of view. So you have from Spain. From Greece. Sorry, from Greece. I give you this Spanish perspective because Greece is not a good example. Greece is really on the front line, I have to say, with some of our challenges in front of us. But Spain. In Spain, we had a debate about how to increase now the military capacity. Everybody is discussing this currently on national level. And then it's about tanks. Tanks for the Spanish army. They are sending now some tanks to Ukrainian friends and so on. So how to replace them? Imagine for a second, if there would be a war in Europe, in the European Union of today, under which conditions Spanish tanks can be then used? The only possible scenario is that Poland has fallen, that Germany is overrun by the Russians, that France is not anymore existing, and then you enter into the Spanish territory. Then you need tanks. Huh? This scenario. Huh? And give me, on another side, the imagination for you would be the army boss of Europe. In this moment of our security challenge, what would you do with tanks? Would you place them in Spain? Huh? And that's why it's so crazy. We are wasting so much money in the European Union of today because everyone wants to defend his own territory and not doing it together. If we would do it together, we would have a military capacity that everybody respects us. If we would do it together, we would save a lot of taxpayers' money. If we would do it together, we would have a situation that the rest of the world would respect us Europeans, not anymore as only an economic power, but also as a political and military power. And that is what I want to see, a strong European Union capable to defend itself. And
okay, let's move on. We're going to go to number 7. We're going to go to number 505, and to 246. Please. Short questions. We really don't have much time, so short questions. We'll get as many answers as we can.
It isn't a question, but you've raised the question at the beginning, how we perceive and how our community perceive the EPP. And personally, I have the feeling that it's often perceived single-sided, so just the economy. And I think we should make more clear before the election that we take the role as a bridge maker between, for example, the climate protection and also the economy. Thank you.
505.
Yeah, my question is regards to Tunisia, like the former speaker. I hear you say that it's very important that we have those values, but we also have to speak with the other countries. And I agree with that, but I want to hear, like, when we deal with third countries, what compliance mechanisms do you use to protect our basic European values, to protect basic human rights? Because people are literally dying in the desert. So just we care about it and we're talking about it, it's not really enough.
Okay. Had some answers. I did say let's try and keep a bit of a diversity of questions around. So if you've asked a question that's a bit similar, the chairman will just give a really short answer to that. So let's go to 246.
Yeah, I'm Mark from North Rhine-Westphalia, Germany. My question kind of is connected to what number 505 said before, but I would say it's completely different, and to get back control when it comes to migration policy, we need deals like we have with Turkey or Tunisia. And what do you think is the future of our European migration policy to control the borders again?
So perhaps you can give an overarching answer about migration policy and what's going on there.
The EPP is balancing things, is bridge builder, as you said. And yes, Europe probably generally is too much seen as market, as euro, as a currency, with these kind of things. So that's why we have to really work a lot that other things are also understood and understandable. And the questions are linked now to the migration perspective. I think we share the same objective that we care about rescuing people. So in the Mediterranean, in the desert, there's no doubt about this. Talking is not enough. Yeah, absolutely. This is not enough. But all solutions start with talking to each other. And that is my appeal. That is my... Because we have here in the European Parliament, next week we will have in Strasbourg a debate about the Tunisian deal, and I tell you that Greens and Left will go to the podium and will tell us it's unthinkable to sit on a table with Sayed, the president of Tunisia, because he is leading the country into a dictatorship. That is the wording of the left. And I stay there and say, yes, it's not democratic, I don't like the development, but he's the president of this country. We have to talk to each other. We have to find solutions. And that is, in a way, the starting point for this, having always the human rights and the basic principles in mind. About the control, about the migration as a whole, you know, migration is today the most important and the most critical political wound of this continent. Unsolved since 2015, since the big Syrian crisis. And until now we had not found a solution. We have a game who is responsible. When Meloni is open up harbours in Italy, then Macron is sending troops to the Italian-French borders to control the border and send illegals back to Italy. So we have a game who is responsible in a way, and that is not good for Europe. We need a joint solution. And we have now this autumn, this fall, a chance to do so. Because on Council side, the European Parliament was always ready to find a solution, but the second chamber is the Council. And on Council side, until now, there was no agreement possible. Now we have a chance of an agreement. And the basic principles are border control in Greece to Turkey, in Lampedusa. We directly check whether somebody has a chance to stay. If he has a chance to stay, we need solidarity in Europe. If there is no chance to stay, you get immediately out of the European Union. That's a basic principle. And we have to have readmission agreements with the partner of origin, with the countries of origin, for the refugees. If they are not allowed to stay, then the countries of origin must take them back home, their own citizens. Otherwise, we also have to be, as Europeans, more tough on this. So we have to make the migration policy functional. And probably the most important thing for us as EPP, because we are the party of control, we are the party of strength on the border. And this must always be balanced with the message that today's European Union is accepting so many refugees as never before in our history. We have around 3 million Ukrainians now on the ground, in Ireland, in Portugal, in Germany, in Poland. We opened all doors for Ukrainian refugees. We have a lot of refugees welcomed from Syria and so on. So yes, there is a big challenge, but nobody can blame us. Even compared with other continents, look to America, what they are doing, look to Canada, look to Russia, who goes to Russia. So in a way, compared with others, we should not be, let me say, have a bad feeling. We should be proud about what we do, that we deliver on humanity, but also we have to stop the business of the smugglers.
Okay, I've got a huge list of numbers here, right? So if I call your number and the topic of your question has already been addressed, just stand up, say topic's been addressed, and we'll move on, okay? So we're going to go to 59. I don't know where that was. Yeah, sir, you had your hand up early. Then we're going to go to 175, then 304. Okay.
So I am Lenny Ferretti from Belgium. My question is, in the upcoming months, we will have a lot of challenge with the election, and you speak about migration. And we, as a EPP family, we always say that we are for diversity, but we will have to be united. And you always say that to be in EPP or to collaborate with EPP, you have to be pro rule of law, pro European, pro NATO, and pro Ukraine. And my question is, do you think that we have to think about more criteria, or is it enough? Thank you.
Interesting question in this election year. 175. Sir.
Good afternoon. I'm Balázs Dombi from Hungary. We've talked about it yesterday. I want to say thank you for your time. But I have another question. But at this time, not about Hungary. My question is, what do you think about the future of the train system, railway system in the European Union? Because I think it's as a fact, it's much greener than using plane, even much comfortable using night jets. My friends came from Hungary with a plane. They were so tired at the first day. I was full of energy because I could sleep well. I even had good talking. I think, it's my opinion, that it's the future of the European Union's transport system. What do you think about that? How can we make it much cheaper and much comfortable, convenient? Thank you.
Thank you, Balázs. 304. Yeah, in the black up on the right-hand side, Chairman.
Hello, my name is Giovanna Yuseli and I come from Cyprus. Thank you for this. It's been an amazing experience. I know I'm coming back. I just want to go back to the upcoming elections. Do we have anything specific for the youth in the manifest? And do we know when the manifest will be ready? And how can, as the youth, the people in this room, can contribute to the campaign, the workshops or the discussions being done? Thank you.
That's three questions for you. Carry on.
So for the manifesto, absolutely, we will have a youth chapter there, but it is now the process in front of us to fill it with content, with good ideas. I invite you as well. So in the youth organizations at home, I was asking Lydia, but also member parties, DC in Cyprus, was asking everyone, please bring in now your ideas, your input, and frankly speaking, for a program, one thing is, to be honest, when you have an election campaign, probably you have already experience in doing campaigning, when you have election campaign, the program is quite full of ideas. But for the programmatic profile, to sell it then to citizens, to people, I think we have to be, to look for flagship projects, for some convincing ideas. I give you an idea. When I was starting the campaign last year in Cyprus, I was there 5 years ago, and then I tested one issue. I said, if we are running Europe as European People's Party, we are promising you that we want to do all what we can do to be the first continent to beat cancer, to have so much innovation that we find an answer, a medical answer about cancer. You know how many people in Europe are concerned about cancer. And that was also in your country, in a lot of other countries, an issue where people immediately, with one concrete example about fight against cancer, you can also use other things, but cancer was immediately by everybody understood as a thing which is only possible together. Nobody believes that one country alone can solve such a thing, and gives us an idea to do more on innovation, on investment and so on. So what I'm asking for is, one thing is to make a party manifesto where the farmers are happy, where where everybody is happy. What we need for convincing people are the flagship projects. European Army, are we in favor, yes or no? And this kind of ideas. And that's why please feel really motivated to come in with your thoughts for the future of youth policy. For the train, I get the point. I'm not an expert on this, I have to say, about transport. But I get your point. It's obviously clear that we need infrastructure for this, a lot of investments. And the second thing is our approach is a market-based approach. So if we can open European markets, like we did it with flights and with air traveling, if we open markets, then price will go down, innovation will start, new products, new services will arrive, and that is always a good thing in today's European Union. And the last point was about EPP. No, I cannot read my notes anymore. What was the first point? About EPP program?
Yeah, it was about the elections. I think it was from... Stand up to the person that asked that question. This gentleman, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it was about unity and changing what the criteria for the group is.
I don't get it. Please repeat it.
Yeah.
I spoke about the three criteria: rule of law, Europe, and do we have to add, or is it enough?
Thanks for the reminder. And you know, that is, the European People's Party of today is a family of national parties. It's obvious. And we have a common ground, Christian democratic ground, but also conservative thinking inside. And we believe in common values. And we have in the European Union of today a quite lively development on party structure. New parties arriving, others are in a way dying. And that's why the European People's Party have always to consider what are possible partners for us. I think one of the probably most convincing examples is currently the Netherlands, where we have now elections in November, where now former CDA colleagues are establishing new parties, running, and are doing quite good in the polls currently. And the question for me as party leader is then, shall we invite those new formats to the EPP Group, first of all, here in the European Parliament, and on the long run, probably also on the party level? That is the question on the table. And I tell you that these three criteria I defined, I presented to the presidency, that everybody who is part of us must be pro-European, no doubt about this, must be pro-Ukraine, in this moment of history it's clear, and must be pro-rule of law. This is in a way the firewall towards German AfD, towards PiS, towards Le Pen. That's a firewall for us. But there are a lot of parties, let me say, in between, where they hold about development and so on going on. So it is a case-by-case decision on country level. I do it together with the member parties on national level, that we consider this together. But we cannot, let me say, miss the opportunity also to reunify all center-right parties. So there are, let me say, two sides always to be considered, and it's a case-by-case decision. So I would say this is a guiding principle. This is a firewall towards the extremists that everybody knows we don't cooperate with them, but gives also room of maneuver for all the talks on the details.
Let's take three more. We're running out of time, but we'll take three more. Let's take one from the gentleman who's trying to take your seat. In number 15, let's take 197. Hand down. I can't see where that is. Stand up, 197. Yeah, that was you. And 345. I'm just doing it in order of the hands coming up. So please, number 15.
So I'm Marcel from Baden-Württemberg, Germany, and my question goes about the digital euro. So a lot of people from the right wing in Europe use this to say the European Union wants to pick up your freedom, because cash means freedom. And what would you say to the people who are afraid of the upcoming digital euro?
Really hot topic right now. The acts have just been coming in over the last week. 197, sir.
Hi. I've got a question to China again, but this time on Africa. I think we're losing our influence in Africa. Because China is investing since over 10 years with the Belt and Road Initiative, and the European Union just started with the Global Gateway Strategy like 3 years ago. I think we're losing our power there, we're losing our friends there, and we can see it in the NATO. What are your ideas? Because Africa is important for everything we're talking about here, for the climate change, for migration, for the single market. It's important, and I want to know what your ideas are to get more friends again in Africa and get China out of there.
What was your... Yeah, please. Before you sit down, what was your name, sir? We didn't catch it quickly. What was your name?
Florian.
Florian. Great, thank you. And 345, I said. I just can't see the numbers. Yeah, you had your hand going up many times. Please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Weber, for your insights. I'm Christian from Italy, and I wanted to ask you, you rightfully mentioned that we need a common European army because it would increase our weight in the world. So my question for you, shouldn't we do the same with a common European diplomacy? Because as we have seen, many diplomats, for instance, Mr. Atanasio, they have died in Africa because they, like most of the times, national diplomacy has difficulties covering security issues, for instance, in local embassies. Thank you so much.
Very good. That's for you.
So about the cash question, a lot of people are concerned about this. As EPP Group, you know, we are not in favor of forbidding anything. We want to keep it as an option open, but we must enable to open the door for the future, and the future is a digital world. That's clear. So I think we have to take the concerns, especially among elderly people, serious. But on the other hand, we must do our best to prepare the future. And we are proud that we have with the euro the second global currency in our hands. So after the dollar, we are number 2. And that must be also now translated into the digital world. You know, we are working on directives on this, on a legal base for this, to make this sure. So that's, I think a clear direction. And on the question of foreign affairs, again, linked to the Africa question, for me it's interesting to listen that a few of you have underlined this lack of engagement in Africa and that we are losing ground there. That's interesting that you have this strong assessment. Everything starts on European level, whether we find a European understanding, yes or no. We have a European position, yes or no. I would not go so far to say the national diplomacy, the national perspective is irrelevant. Let's only do European-wide, because we have the strength that some countries have special links. There's a history with economic relationships. So we should use the diversity we have in Europe for also our strength in the global activities, on the diplomatic activities. We should use it. The question is how to combine the national interests with a broader European perspective. So finally, in a way, the head, the boss, the command must be, in a way, in the hand of the EU ambassador in the world outside. They can contribute from an Italian, German, whatever point of view, but finally, if there are controversial issues on the table, the EU majority decision must be then the guiding principle when it is about our positioning. And that means a lot. Allow me, because we are coming to the end, but allow me to use this example for bringing it again out from the very concrete things, how to manage things, unanimous vote, majority making decision process, to the basic problem behind, the basic challenge, the question behind. What is the question behind army, foreign affairs? What is the question behind? I'm a German. The German Bundestag decides today whether we send soldiers in a war. It's a tough decision for a politician to sit on the table and to decide you send young people, young soldiers, to go to war and to risk their life. That's possible because you have a German identity. We are Germans. We have our nation. We have a history. Not such a long history, I have to say, as a Bavarian, but okay. That was an insight, I guess. But you know what I mean. And in the future, who decides then about sending European troops? European Parliament? Question mark. A European Defence Minister? A President of the European Council? Where people don't feel today connected. People in your home village, in your city, don't feel that Charles Michel or Ursula von der Leyen is really my president. That is not yet the case. It's not yet the case. So when we speak about these developments, about army, we understand it from a technical, from an arguments point of view fully that this is necessary. But that means that from an identity point of view, we have to become Europeans. You know, we have to become Europeans. And this is probably the most important, let me say, step in front of us that we bring to our societies, and that is the fight with all the populists, with all the right extremists, AfD in Germany, how to translate this now, how courageous we are in this world to go out and to tell our people on the ground and the party and so on that we love our country. I would add, I love my region. I'm a Bavarian, you know, I'm a German citizen. But I'm deeply convinced that we cannot continue without being also, from an identity point of view, not from an economic interest point of view, from an identity point of view, to become European. And that is, in a way, the big story in front of us. For me, our challenge now for the next years as today's acting generation, together with you, is probably equally important than what the generation, I spoke yesterday about this, what the generation of the founding fathers did. You know, to make out of the European Union not only an interest-based community, where we Germans can sell products and others have security, and in Romania they get money from Brussels. So an interest-based community, but to develop really a common identity that we are Europeans and we defend our interests together in this world. So sorry for leaving. I have to go to Ursula von der Leyen for preparing the State of the Union speech for next week, where hopefully she will give this idea about the European Army and about the innovations there. I count on you. I'm really happy that you are here, that you are committed to the project. Please continue when you are leaving Brussels, going home, back home, to continue to fight for our common ideas to create a strong European Union. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much indeed. Good luck with your meetings. So, a huge thank you to the chairman, yeah. Yeah, a huge thank you to the chairman. That in any country, in any place in the world, to stand for an hour and take questions on a complete range of subjects is an impressive thing for any human being to do. So that was awesome. I'm really sorry that I couldn't get to everyone's questions. I write the list, I take as many as I possibly can. We're not going to hold you in here for much longer because you've got a lot of work to do. And I think, especially some of the groups that I was in, what he said might have given you some strong ideas for some of the work you're going to do. And I'm just going to hand over to Joanne, who's going to give you a bit of a clearer outline of how the rest of today and tomorrow is going to work.
Thanks, Jack. What a remarkable opportunity you just had. 60 minutes with Manfred, what? Amazing. So you've been working this morning on your one big challenge. This afternoon you need to complete that and come up with your one big idea that you're going to pitch to EPP Group tomorrow that they can take into the 2024 elections. The chairman has said to you, we are looking for your ideas. So make sure that you bring your biggest ideas. Please go to the rooms that you were in this morning. If you did not attend this morning's sessions, you need to go to the rooms that are assigned to you in the app. If you've got any questions, you will see our facilitators and team members around. At the end of today, you're going to have a presentation ready to pitch tomorrow. You might prepare it late into the night. I will be there from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. to work with the 4 presenters from each of the 8 teams. Okay, so 8 to 9 in the tent. I will prep you and I will listen to your presentation and give you feedback. Tomorrow morning, those 32 delegates who have been voted on by their teams to vote will meet Jack and myself and some of the technical team here tomorrow morning at 8:15 for rehearsals. These pitches are being live streamed on YouTube and you're going to have a very, very VIP audience, okay? No pressure. This is your moment. No pressure at all. This is your moment. Go back, 5:30, have a nice break now, and I'll see you later. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Have a great afternoon, guys.